I always think that Timothée Chalamet, every time I watch him, he reminds me of your son, Alex.
Alex, there is a bit of a look, isn't
I don't
there?
know. I can't quite say what it is.
It's the hair and he's the same shaped face.
Yeah, and the hipstery kind of gig going on. And
so Timothée Chalamet is in this movie at the moment called Marty Supreme, which is based on the life of a guy called Marty Reisman. So like in the 20s or 30s, wherever it was, there was a real sort of a backstreet table tennis sort of generation going on in New York. Now, the table tennis clubs they were in looked like they should have been at boxing clubs, but this was table tennis, and it was gritty and it was nasty. And Marty is the top table tennis player in America, and he wants to be the top table tennis player in the world, but he has no money. And for him to try and get to England and then also get to Japan to the world champion, the things he has to do, right? The movie is just bonkers. Like, I was there, Holly and myself, actually, and Alex and Laura were there, and every 5 minutes you're nearly punching the person next to you, going, "Did that actually, like, this is meant to be about table tennis? What the hell is going on?" If the man does not pick up an Oscar for this,
What's it called?
it's called Marty Supreme.
Marty Supreme.
And
okay.
if he doesn't pick up an Oscar for this, you'd love it. You'd absolutely love it. But it just you don't know. It reminded me of the Leonardo DiCaprio, all the other wars or whatever that was. You just don't know what the movie is. But it's so good, you don't care.
But he's so funny. He's comedic in it.
Yeah, he is.
And then Nikki Glaser slagged him. She was doing the Golden Globes opening, and she's like, he's the only actor that had to put on muscles to play a ping pong player.
Yeah.
It was 5 ounces. I mean, he is very scrawny.
But from when he was Bob Dylan, earlier on in the year
which
or
you
last
didn't
year.
like, but I thought it was
I didn't
brilliant.
like the movie, but I thought he was okay.
Oh, he's good.
And then into this, it's just, it's bonkers. I thought Blue Moon and the Leonardo DiCaprio movie were the best I've seen. I think this now is the best movie I've seen in the year.
And it sounds like, a real kind of scrummage to get through to be a successful tennis player, table tennis.
Yeah.
But I was watching a 1978 roller derby on YouTube yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And they get into this massive punch-up.
Right.
So anybody who doesn't know what roller derby was,
Yeah.
it was a thing that went on in the 70s and probably maybe into the 80s, but it was always violent. And and I think people forget that. You kind of see guys, roller skating around a rink trying to do sport. But I think table tennis, I think anything that becomes competitive where there's an outcome, there's violence, there's corruption, there's everything.
I'll top that with everything I saw recently on TikTok. And it's in Japan. And it's called Making Bed Competition. And they do it amongst all the housemaids and housemen of hotels of who can make beds the best and the fastest. And this guy thought he should have won. And he had a hissy fit.
Did he toss the bed?
And he was like, I'm not too Japanese, but whatever.
That wasn't a Japanese impersonation.
I was just calling him losing his mind.
And the other guys were just folding the beds very neatly, and the crowd was really nice. But this guy was having a hissy fit that he came second. And again, even in making beds, the competitive spirit came out in that guy, which is brilliant.
But I think it's also good, right? If you have that and you have this Timothée Chalamet movie, I think it's also great for people to see that, whatever you want to do or wherever you want to get to in life, it is just filled with obstacles, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
It's just hard. Life, I always think that, success in your career is an attritional process. Right? You're going to have to get smacked and beaten and hammered and pushed back and put down, and people are going to say nasty things about you. And where success comes in is where you keep going, irrespective of what's being said or how are people holding you back.
The brilliant thing about this movie is, and this is not a spoiler alert because you'll sort of get it from the first dark openings.
Careful.
This sounds like a spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
it does.
It really does.
It's like when someone says, I'm not going to try to offend you, and they offend
I'm not
you.
racist, but...
I don't hate you.
Here's my Japanese impression.
Okay, I will do it in Japanese.
No, don't.
No, stop it. So the thing is, because you get a sense of what the movie is and isn't, it's not a Hollywood movie. It's not a rip-roaring, hey!
No, it's not an action movie.
You know what I mean? It just takes so many
beautiful.
twists and turns. You don't even know if people are going to survive by the end of the movie. It's that good.
And
Who
I
else is in
think
it?
movies will
Huh?
kind of...
Who else is in
A
it?
dog.
Nobody that well knows. Sorry, that's a lie.
Sorry, that's a lie.
Your
I'm
man.
sorry for clicking with you. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow's in at the beginning with it. Yes.
No, but she plays a big part of
She
it then
does,
later.
and then he's a girlfriend who ignorantly, I can't remember her
I
name.
can't
but
remember her
she's
name
very
either.
good.
But there is a dog as well.
Nice.
Begonia, there's so many new movies. Oh my God.
Begonia is just nuts.
Same parents, different timelines, and united by chaos. Strap on, strap in, for the not-so-Christian brothers.
So this is Not So Christian Brothers, everybody. Hey.
Hello. Yes, here we are. And
For
I
2026.
think we forget to kind of introduce ourselves when we come on the show. So we want to try and make more of an opportunity to do that, so that people know who we are. And I'm Justin Caffrey.
I'm Colm Hayes. And we're brothers.
We're brothers. Yeah, brothers. Yeah.
Just I had to change my name for legal reasons.
Legal reasons,
After
and
trying to do Japanese accents in the street.
Got cancelled in
for
Tokyo.
radio. Do you know there's a thing in radio that if you don't name the station and the name of the show, every link, so after every track, right? At the end of the show, you will be brought in by your program director who will play back going, why did you not mention the station? Why did you not mention the station?
Because if you're flicking around, you want to know your brand. You
I know,
want to know your
exactly.
product. Yeah.
So now obviously we have the beautiful logo here so people know, but it's worth because
Hello and welcome to Not So Christian Brothers. On this link, thank you for tuning in today.
That was a
you.
good
We're
radio
watching
voice.
here.
I
That's
like
hot.
that. Yeah.
Our
Nice.
sponsors this week, it's Tom Joe.
Oh wow, he's still going.
This album is from, I like to bring you albums. This album is from 1989.
Can I ask just a question? That
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing when you're on the car driving, you flick radio stations, you find a track that you like, a song,
Yeah.
and that's why they want you to pronounce
Constantly, yeah.
Yes, because you listen to music and you're like, oh, I love this song.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's finished, you go, oh, Q102 or
Ireland's
2FM.
Classic
Ireland
Hits.
Classic Hits Radio.
Ireland Classic Hits Radios is playing it, yes.
So you can have a politician on a leading talk show, a radio talk show, and you can think that you're on RT Drive Time and RT, and you may not be. You might be on Newstalk. So it's like we need to keep. It's all about brand awareness.
Yeah,
It's like an ad.
I haven't listened to radio in, I would say, a
Wow.
year.
Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say a year.
Wow.
I stopped
You
listening
want
to
to
radio.
hear what I say about you.
Wow. I mean, isn't that such a family moment
But do you
there?
not listen to some of your, because you're like a clever intellectual person. Do you not
What's
listen to some of
that?
your talk radios from the States or your MAGA FM?
I've lost my tuning from MAGA FM. No, I used to listen to. That's very sad. I used to listen to BBC Radio 4 in the mornings.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
I listen
but
to BBC
When he was
radio.
15.
Oh yeah, like literally, I was listening to BBC Radio 4 when I was probably about 15. But I find that UK radio, like Radio 4, is now just proliferated with really kind of Brexit political issues. The Labour Party. I'm kind of bored of it. But I've always liked radio. Right, and I do occasionally listen to you and Leslie.
That's Leslie Carruthers, who does Living with Leslie, her new show.
I mean, it's brilliant, really.
Yeah.
No, call him a Lucy in the
Morning,
morning.
Leslie.
Classic hits.
It's gas.
But I genuinely think from my perspective, and I think this is the same. It transfers from TV to radio. And like I'm 50, right? So I'm not even a demographic that needs to be tested. But it's interesting that I think it's hitting me that I've now moved away from terrestrial, television and radio to an extent. And I kind of drive in the car. And just as Terry asked that question about radio, I was thinking, like, I would drive in my car and just tell Spotify what I want to hear. So I don't listen to radio, but I also find, and I don't know if anybody else, people that are watching or listening, get this. I actually find Spotify now to be kind of overwhelming. And I was only thinking the other day that I should start listening to radio again because
Too much choice.
you have too much choice, and sometimes you're getting on
Did we
thinking,
not have that discussion
What am I
only
gonna
a few
listen
weeks
to?
ago when you were away? I brought up that there's too much choice in the world.
In everything.
see, and I wasn't listening to the podcast. So I
was
hadn't heard that either.
You just couldn't take the pressure.
Obviously, I still listen to radio because I'm in the business, and I do like jumping
I
across
love
to some of
radio.
the talk shows, especially the drive time shows, just because I can, within sort of 30 minutes or so, you can get an idea of what's going on in the world, in Ireland, or the Ireland's viewpoint of what's going on in the world. But other than
But
that,
I think even Ireland's viewpoint's a bit jaded because
So
you
you think
basically
it's
have
parochial?
you have news talk on one side of the fence, you have RT on the other side of the fence. You know, you've got one kind of more left-leaning, one kind of middle to the right.
No, you're not listening to see. I'm listening to this news station, Ireland is Full FM, and they really have some very
lovely.
interesting thoughts.
Lovely.
Yeah. I didn't realise you were full.
Hosted by Eddie Hobbs.
Ha! Sorry, okay. So this is, let me just take out this WhatsApp.
Never read our private group WhatsApp.
No, I have to read this because you just mentioned Eddie Hobbs. Because we were talking about what we were going to talk about in the show, and we were talking about sort of last year's male toxicity, or even mental health, or adolescence, and you know how our mental health is. And you wanted to talk about it,
Pointing at me around adolescence, not because I am an adolescent.
Yeah, I was going to say.
which I gave the fact in our group that adolescence last year was watched 45 million times a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it was a shock factor show.
I
Everyone just
know,
wanted to
I know,
be
but just
obsessed.
shows you how important. But then Justin puts into our group. So we have a group called High Tide Studios, which we will allow anybody else in at €50 a month. Why don't we start with what? Okay, so we're going to start with what we're watching, Luke, because I want to talk about Marty thing. Then, what do you think about the MAGA movement, masculinity? Eddie Hobbs is being tipped to be Ireland's Donald Trump. Yeah, I thought you put that in as a gag, but you didn't mean Donald Trump.
No.
But he'd be
And I'm
brilliant.
so upset now
that'd
that I
be
didn't.
brilliant.
He'd be
Do you
brilliant.
think there is a Donald Trump in the world?
Well, I
There
think
has to
Eddie
be.
Hobbs is like a real person called
Yes.
Donald Trump. Oh, there has to be.
Not necessarily. Trump isn't a very Irish name, and Donald is a very Irish name.
But I think there's always somebody.
Oh, I need to find him.
Can you just? Why don't you there?
Can we get him on the show?
There is going to get Donald Trump on the
Go
show.
and see if you can get Donald Trump on Facebook. I
ISDN
guarantee he's on
line.
Facebook, and I guarantee he's living in Tipperary. He's still with his mother, and he spends a little bit too much time milking the cows.
Can we go back to you listen
Sorry,
to radio?
his original name is Drumpf. Trump is not his name.
no, we want Donald.
D or what was it? No, Donald
No, it's Trump.
is
Trump
Trump is
Fioschi.
not his real name.
Trump Fioschi or something.
No. Drumpf is
Yeah.
his real name. DF. What is it? Some bizarre German name.
Don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
His father
Trump
changed
is
the name.
not his name. It was changed. So I'll find out.
I think it was as simple as Trump. Sorry, Terry.
I don't know.
No, I was just going to ask you. You listen to radio as a presenter, been in the industry for so long. Who do you listen to? Who?
So
like-
you're bringing this right back to the start of this podcast.
No.
Sorry,
You only
yes,
said it.
we're going
No,
No,
with
but
the
you
first
as,
listener.
as
Real
an
name is
experienced
Drumpf.
radio listener, like I would only listen to. I only ever listened to Marty Whelan in the morning. He was the only person. I
Marty
ever listened-
Whelan?
Yeah, it's the only man I
You should
listened to on
pop
the
over to
radio.
my mum. You can have a cup of tea with her.
I was
Love
on
him.
his show for 4 years doing the
Love him.
traffic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's a great man.
I
had him
just
open
listen-
it. I actually got him in to open an art gallery presentation for me once as well.
He's a
He
great
did.
man.
Did you?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's really good. Like he's solid.
He is solid. And that moustache, that is actually
That is a
living, breathing.
That actually probably has its own YouTube channel, does it?
Yeah. It has
Marty's
its own-
moustache.
and solar system.
It has its own living source. Like if Marty died, the moustache would continue. But I've heard, this is honest, right, that Marty has said he is going to give his moustache to the National Museum.
Stop.
So he has donated his upper lip.
Colm, stop.
So when he passes away, they've given the permission to cut away his upper lip, and you'll be able to go and view Marty's moustache.
Stop.
I'd get a picture
Which, in
standing
fairness,
beside that.
it's an impressive moustache, and as a man who wears a beard, you know, I have to keep the mustache element of it kind of trimmed quite
Isn't
well.
that a man who grows a beard? So you're actually wearing that. So can we pull it off? I'm just wearing a beard for the moment. You never heard a man say, I'm wearing a beard.
Well, it's kind of a
I grow a
fashionable
beard,
thing.
That's
yeah.
a fashion statement.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm wearing a beard.
Did we find a Donald Trump?
So there's no Donald Trumps, but I think can we start a movement
I
on
didn't
Not
tell
So
you
Christian
what my
Brothers
problem
when we
was
get
with
one?
beards there.
Oh, sorry, he wants to go back to beards.
Sorry,
I'm
but can
glad.
we do a shout out? If there is a Donald Trump in this country, please get in touch with the show. I'm going to do a social thing on this. thing.
DONAL, Donald
Yeah.
Trump. We want you to be part of the show. We'll do that as a special promo clip, and you're going to win a prize.
And there's a political movement being created that needs a leader. So maybe, you know, if you're out of work or whatever, this could be. I mean, and in fairness, most people on the fringes of left or right politics generally are out of work. So it'd be really helpful.
And he needs a red baseball cap.
And a red baseball
Now,
cap.
do you want to mention your beard, and then we can move on to your theory on Donald Trump?
It's gone now. The moment's gone about my
You're
beard.
doing health and well-being, aren't you?
Yeah.
But Donald Trump, though, I think what's interesting, and Donald Trump and Eddie Hobbs. So the you know, for our non-Irish listeners, one of our main publications in this country is the Irish Times, and for whatever reason, they've jumped on having a go at Eddie Hobbs, right? So there's been various articles all the way through, and Eddie Hobbs is this guy who was a financial advisor going back to 20 years ago during the Celtic Tiger.
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff that he advised people to get involved in that didn't necessarily go according to plan.
Did he sell timeshare in Tibet?
Yeah, it was
That idea.
there was challenging investments that may not have gone according to plan, and poor old Eddie was involved in that. And what he's actually turned himself into over the course of the last few years is a right-wing protagonist, right? And not only that, but he's actually been on Steve Bannon's podcast. Right?
Okay,
The
that's
War
all
Room.
right. Yeah.
Now this is picked up in the article, but this is huge, right? So Eddie Hobbs now, his YouTube channel, his expose into the US, the amount of funding and money that would get behind him after being on there is important.
Oh.
And Steve Bannon was quoted last week saying, I'm spending an awful lot of time on the Irish issue. And they want to grow the movement here. And McGregor is part of that.
Grow
And
the
there is-
right-wing movement.
There's enough grassroots support, right? And I think we've always kind of poo-pooed it in terms of general election ideas that it never gets traction, but actually it's starting to get traction. And there was a terrorist attack, which was deemed as a terrorist attack. I'm not stating it was. I think it began reported in the Irish papers in the last couple of days, where a man attacked two Gardaí, and he also tried to do something else.
Oh yeah, well, he had huge
In
mental health
Blanchardstown.
issues. Yeah.
But find me the terrorist who didn't have huge mental health issues, right? Like, it's fair to say that most people who were trying to kill a multitude of folks.
Michael Collins.
Saddam Hussein didn't have mental health.
But Saddam Hussein wasn't a terrorist. Saddam Hussein was the leader of a democratically elected
Dictator.
country. Well,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was-
Bush was the
he was
terrorist there.
elected himself. But terrorists who go out and kill people to be with virgins in heaven, it's not unreasonable to say that they're slightly deluded, as was this chap. And I'm not for 1 minute getting on that bandwagon, but what I'm saying is that when we start to see people who in the Irish media, and as stated by the Gardaí, they're prosecuting him as a terrorist, this is all the hallmarks that's needed for an extreme right-wing movement. And there's loads of money behind it.
But I don't disagree, and I think there is a strong. But I think there was a stronger right-wing movement about a year ago, just before the elections, where we did see all of these campsites set up, like Ireland is full, and all of the demonstrations outside the iPod centres. I don't now. Maybe what they're trying to do is organize them, because that was all a bit all over the place.
Do you know what it lacked?
Into more a leader, like a Farage, like a
Two things:
yeah,
a leader and money.
And
Yeah.
Enoch Burke.
yeah. Well, he's a different.
It's
bird.
a different
But-
matter.
but,
But it lacked money and it lacked a leader, right? And I think surreptitiously, this is all happening, right? It's happening right now, and it's going to come to the fore. And also, the Occupied Territories Bill, which is, we're now stepping into highly
Yeah.
controversial territory, right?
Well, it's occupied.
It's occupied. That is a really interesting moment, right? Because you can, like, on one hand, I think there's an awful lot of virtue signaling around this bill, because
course there is.
in real terms,
Yeah.
we're not going to do anything to undermine. I mean, if you actually look at the amount of imports that we have from Israel, it's negligible, right? Especially when you get into
The occupied territories.
the occupied territories, right?
This is one shop.
Yeah, and I think as well, people need to understand that a bit better too. I mean, people should really read into this bill to understand the merits of it. But here's the thing: it's a kind of a bear trap, right? Because there is a huge amount of resistance in the US to our involvement in this, like an astronomical amount of resistance. If you go onto YouTube and you start typing this in, now good luck, because your feed will get proliferated with it. But there's so much money and power against Ireland because of this, right? Now, we haven't put it into legislation yet. But if we did, right, and if you were to sit on the side of saying, well, we should do it because we want to stand with the people of Palestine, there is also a huge amount of money and right-wing extremism that would like us to do that. Because when they do, then they can come after us.
There is at the moment within government, a very strong sense of anti-immigration in our present government. And I know this for a fact, and I know there's a couple of cases that are going to be taken against the government where people, and it's not like ICE, but people have been lifted off the streets. Last weekend, a guy had just got married from Nigeria. 2 days later, the police called to his door and arrested him, and he's in Cloverhill prison. And it's completely illegal because he was granted that he was going to be able to stay. And the reason that doing that is they're building a whole group. I'm not making this up. They're building a whole, that they've got a flight ready to go to Nigeria. They don't talk about it. The journalists aren't giving any information about it, but there's now a flight ready to go to Nigeria. So they're now picking Nigerians up off the street who they think might possibly should be deported. And there's a lot of barristers now putting in cases to try and stop them. But some of them have been arrested already and put into Cloverhill, and they reckon the flight is within the next week. And even though it's illegal to fly them back to Nigeria because they have rights, once they fly them back to Nigeria, for them to try and get back to Ireland is absolute nightmare. And it is unfortunately an undercurrent that's going on into our government at the moment, which is a direct feed to try and stop the anti-immigration right-wing organisations get too strong independently that they're able to say, certain people within the government are able to say, well, look, we're dealing with it. We've just sent this plane back. We've just sent this back. But they're doing it in ways that I know 3 cases now, okay? And you know why I know them. I know 3 cases now that have been dealt with in the courts.
Because he's been going around arresting people in the streets.
That basically what the guards did is exactly what ICE are doing. It's almost, I'm going to be honest here, it's almost racial profiling.
Well, hold on a second. I think that is such an extraordinary stretch, right? If
Because
you watch
ICE
what
shot
ICE are
someone
doing.
in a car. Like,
First
ICE
of all,
are
they
killing
shot
people.
somebody.
No.
and killed them.
I said no. The way
Okay, but was he a danger? Was there a past
I
criminal
didn't say the
record?
Guardian
Did he
were
get
going to
married
shoot
for...
anybody, guys. I said that they are going in and they are taking people out and they're putting them into Cloverhill for a couple of nights and putting them onto flights, even though they know that what the government is doing is illegal, and it's now being contested, and it's going to be contested in Strasbourg or the International Human Rights Courts. But they're doing it to feed information to the right to say, well, look, we're trying to deal with it. But I'm not saying they're as I'm not saying they're as crazy as us.
But I think
it's still a little bit weird.
Well, I think we have to do something, right? And I think Jim O'Callaghan has got a very
Do something legal.
Well,
what they're doing is illegal.
I think the challenge is that if you don't do something, the inevitable is coming because it's everywhere in Europe. It's in the UK. It's in the US. So our choice is how close do we want to get to a right? And we've never.
Okay,
No, can I continue for a sec?
Because you can't.
Just 1 sec. So the point being that we have to try and do something
legal,
and as unpalatable as that is. The alternative, I think, is really unpleasant as well.
What's the alternative?
That we end up with a right-wing government, right? That we end up.
So you're saying we should to make sure we don't have a right-wing government. What our government should do is actually do certain things to sort of feed away the possibility of a right-wing government. So therefore, they're sort of turning into a right-wing government to appease the government in waiting that could be right wing.
I think the biggest problem that we have is the 1956 treaty with the UK means that irrespective of where somebody enters into Europe to seek asylum, they can get to Ireland through the UK border. And since the British have now started to be more restrictive, we're getting more refugees. And I do think that unless we manage that, we have a problem. I mean, I've direct experience of Germany and the 1 million people that were let in there.
Yeah.
When I was there at Christmas, people who I would never have expected to hold very strong views in terms of immigrants are now holding strong views. And this is just a hard topic, and it's a difficult topic. And there's no right answer. I think it's a question of trying to mitigate things as best we can. And I do think that from an Irish perspective, we have to try and come up with some idea around quotas, or we have to tighten up what happens, because otherwise, as Steve Bannon has said, they're dealing with the Irish issue. They've got to put money in.
I think I think whatever you do, you'll never the right wing will always go after something. I don't necessarily have any truck with saying Ireland is full. It absolutely is not full.
I didn't say that. But I do think we have measures.
And I think the measures should be they should be legal and they should stand by them. For instance, there's 3 guys again in Cloverhill, and there's more. 3 that I know of, and that because the paperwork prepared for them by the Gardaí were wrong, in other words, weren't distributed properly to another Garda office, they have been arrested and they are in Cloverhill jail, and nobody cares because it's like, oh well, sure, they're going to be deported anyway. They're Nigerian. We might as well just get them.
This is so layered and complex, though, because
No, all I'm saying is,
as a mama, I have mothers saying to me that perhaps are out of work at the moment, or are separated, or their husband's left them, or in kind of a situation where they're trying to get social benefit, a little bit of help as a single mom, right? So just bear with me for 2 secs. And they're trying to get support for their child, low income. Maybe they've had to move out of the family house for various reasons, mental health from their former partner, or a dispute or divorce, right? And they're really struggling. These are qualified women who are in their 40s, are struggling, right? And they're not getting that much support from the government. They're getting maybe $250 a week, and they're getting some affordable housing sometimes if they're on a scheme where they could be waiting 10, 15 years. And this is the reality. And what they are actually in is poverty, right? So we're talking about middle, and I mean, I'm tearing it, middle class women who are impoverished, right, because of circumstance, who are then a little bit bitter about people who are coming in and are being given a lot of support or a free accommodation. And Colm, you know I feel very strongly with you, and I agree with you.
It's absolute
but
bullshit
on the outside,
that you think that refugees are getting support.
I know that.
Well,
I know what they're
But
getting.
I think Irish people are selective. We like Muslim doctors and really highly qualified, Indians and Africans coming in to help our babies, right, in our maternity hospitals and to work those night shifts and the service jobs we don't want to do. Yeah. We don't really want them on the streets.
I think we emotionally react. Yeah, absolutely. There are people on the poverty line and they're carrying our Irish passports. Absolutely, 100%. But I think we're confusing our issues and we're lashing out. And that's when the right wing get a voice going, well, we should be taking care of them. Well, do you know what? I mean, unless you're of a certain age, if you come in as a refugee, right? And we have signed up that we allow refugees come in. Unless you're a certain age and a certain, gender, basically you're met at the door, you're filled in your form, and you're given a tent. And I mean that's wrong as well. That's wrong. So I do think we confuse social issues.
There's no easy path to this, right?
No, there isn't. That's the problem.
But I do think that I totally agree with where Bex is coming from. I think there's a lot of people who are really unhappy. I think working class people are unhappy and confused, okay? Because there isn't clear information as to what people do or don't get, right? Mm-hmm. I do think that could be communicated better. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're disenfranchised in society, it's only likely that you're going to feel aggrieved, right? And who do you feel aggrieved against somebody who didn't grow up in your country? So I think you can see where that grows from. And just to finish my point,
is such a good word there.
To finish my point, that unfortunately, those people who want more liberal approaches to refugees, and this is not directed at you, tend to be from the more liberal, wealthy parts of society, right? Who are educated, have good jobs, have a nice lifestyle, don't have any real impact because of what's happening at the lower levels of society. And if the refugees were suddenly dropped into Greystones where I live or Blackrock where you live, and they were your next door neighbours, then maybe it would shift. Now, I know we wouldn't have a problem.
I have an iPad centre in Blackrock.
Well, I think next door. My point is if it was next door. No, I know. I'm saying you and I wouldn't, but I can guarantee you it would be a problem, right? So people who are upset in Coolock, in Ballymun, in Clondalkin, or wherever it is, we have to recognise that many of their grievances are probably not necessarily 100% accurate, but equally they haven't been able to be educated properly on this. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but there isn't enough information about what people do and don't get. And this is only going to grow as a problem.
There is. If they want to look at if they just want to Google, there is loads of information. If you go to the Irish Refugee Council, there is loads of information. Until a certain man called Jim O'Callaghan came along, the government were constantly giving out all the information. What happens was that they do it in a very measured, articulate way. The right wing scream over that and scream even louder, and then tell people they're getting laptops, they're getting houses, they're getting phones, they're getting cars. They don't have to pay car insurance. There's a guy from Libya with a Mercedes that actually put in the receipt to get his car fixed in a garage. They're loud, they're crazy, they keep saying the same thing all the time. And there was a measured voices and there was a lot of information. And I am a little bit, let's say, with what's going on in America and everything, with MAGA and with ICE and all that, I am a little bit concerned of some of the voices I'm hearing from government. And a little bit concerned with some of the direction. And I will mention Jim O'Callaghan again. I don't like that guy. I don't like where he's coming from.
I look there. We can disagree nicely on this point because I do think
we can't disagree nicely on immigration. We need to fight.
Well, I think we are right. I think this is a
we
point
never
of,
got to have the things we wanted to do. But
a point of agitation. I do recognise that the government are in a difficult position. I do think unless somebody starts to occupy the centre right, at a political sense, the right will become stronger. I don't believe, all the stories that people see, but equally, unless we recognise how hard it is to be disenfranchised, impoverished, unable to buy a house, possibly unable to pay your rent, and in a world that's just spiralling upwards in terms of cost and price, we can't understand it. And why does the right-wing movements work? If you go back 20 years ago, right-wing was wealthy people, right? Right-wing movements now are poor, disenfranchised humans who are fed up and want to put up a fight because they think that they deserve more. And that movement is coming.
But the movement, and it's always there. Like the right wing after World War II, World War I in Germany, the right wing was the National Socialists, and they were the people that lost everything. If you go back to the 20s in Ireland, the impoverished were obviously the Catholics, and their immigrants were the Protestants, which they burnt down, they chased around, they forced out,
slept around,
stole the Irish Catholic boys.
There's always an impoverished.
Only date a Protestant though. Remember that.
Remember that. Episode 60. Only date a Protestant.
But whatever country you look at, there's always an impoverished part of that country, which is could be religious or could be social or could be whatever, and there will be always a target for them. I think, unfortunately, what we're seeing now, and especially over in the States, is the target is an awful lot to do with the color of your skin. And I really thought we'd got away from that way back when slavery was done away with. When I see it now, that the target is generally the color of your skin and nothing else is taken in, that's scary.
It is
back
scary.
to that.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think, if anybody watches or listens to The Rest is Politics US, where Anthony Scaramucci is talking with what's her name, who I really fancy all the time, all the way through my years.
The
English
Cliff
journalist.
Richard.
I can't remember. But
Anne Thompson.
No.
I'm going through my wish list.
Maggie Thatcher.
No, the journalist, the BBC journalist who does The Rest is Politics US.
Oh, yeah, very clever.
Yeah, very smart.
To the
Katie
Tonight Show.
Couric. No.
Catty K.
Sorry.
Catty K, if you're listening. Hey. But Anthony Scaramucci is now just using the F word, fascist, and he's calling Trump out. He's calling him a fascist. Their actions are extreme. I totally agree. And I do think, that the latest things I saw in Minneapolis in the last 2 days were black people being arrested. What was that?
What was that?
It's just, we're just
all right,
encouraging.
just technical issues. Black people being arrested who have US passports in Minneapolis by ICE. So unquestionably, that's where the direction of travel is going. And I'm not for 1 second saying that I think we should support a MAGA movement, but I do think there are great lessons from American politics that we should pay attention to, because what you try and resist will always persist.
Can I finish on
No,
something?
this all comes back to me getting a spray tan last week, and you don't like when I'm that level of tan. And this is all about this.
Can I just finish with 10 seconds, right? Every time you say Anthony Scaramucci, right, All I can hear is
Scaramouche,
Can you do the
Scaramouche,
fandango?
Thunderbolts are lightning, very, very frightening.
Galileo,
Figaro.
And on that's not so Christian Brothers. We can pick up on some of that on the Sunday
I'd say
show.
the Sunday show is going to be funky town. The after show is coming up on Sunday, but that was quite the political debate from Colm Hayes and Justin Caffrey. We didn't talk about our weight goals, thank God. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday. Listen, like, subscribe, listen, tell your granny, everybody about this, and we're on YouTube. We're everywhere you get your
Spotify
podcasts.
video.
Spotify video.
Yes.
And that's it. I won't say anything else.